Scott Burt from Cup to Finish, and we're at JLC Live in Providence, Rhode Island, and we're in the Graco booth looking at the handheld sprayers, which are kind of exciting new technology from Graco for 2017. And the handheld units have been out for about 7 years. We started working with the original ones back in 2010, and this is a really interesting evolution of that product line because it incorporates a lot of real serious upgrades for handheld sprayers. So starting at the front of the unit, you'll notice that it's got the fine finish low pressure tip. This is not only a new tip series from Graco for 2017, but it's also new for a handheld to be able to accept the same tips that the other airless guns in the Graco line can work with. So starting right at the tip, the fine finish low pressure tip is kind of an improved version of airless fine finish tips that you've had in the past. And the improvement here, by using the fine finish low pressure tip, you're able to work at a lower pressure on your machine, whichever machine you're running, and you'll have less overspray and a better defined fan pattern. So with the fine finish low pressure tip, you can expect less overspray, work at a lower pressure, both great things, but most importantly, the results will transfer on the surface, which we're going to show you on the wall here in a second. But first, the other advancements that have been made here, improvements with the machine, are the way this works. The cup assembly has been improved really well. It used to be a plastic housing that held the cup with the fluid inside, but now Graco has gone to a flex liner system, which is this cup situation, and the product is now inside this flex liner. So when you run the machine, you run a lot less risk of having air get inside the cup that's going to affect the ability of the machine to remain pressurized under a load. So we'll show you that in a second. And the biggest improvement here on the handhelds is definitely the battery. Handheld machines are really, really challenged because this machine, well, it looks like a pretty small, almost like a toy. This is actually 2,000 PSI of airless spraying, basically. It's like having 2,000 PSI sprayer in your hand without any hoses or anything, and powered by 20 volts of battery. So the battery's got to be good, and this is the best battery that Graco has ever been able to put out on a handheld because they partnered with DeWalt. So this is a 20-volt battery from DeWalt. So when you buy the cordless version of this machine, you get 2 batteries, you get a charger, and kind of set up and ready to roll. So overall, those are the new features on the handhelds, and the way it works is kind of interesting because the cup, you no longer necessarily have to deal with a big thread pattern because you can just release the cup with a simple turn. And I'm going to stick a new cup on it right now and show you how to prime that cup and pressurize and get ready to spray. I'm going to try to do it as clean as I can. I'll stick this back on just for a second, Chris. I'll show you when we run these, we have a secondary cup ready to go. So that's what this is. It's got the same flex liner inside of it, got the cup housing, the top on it, and this one actually has a little plug on the top that works as a handle to make sure that no air can get inside and that the secondary cup is plugged until you need it. So you would just take that off with a simple twist. So that's your plug, that's your cup. You can see that inside that it's full of paint. The product's there. So I'll come back to the machine, take the other cup off, and you'll notice up inside here is where the filter is for the machine. There's no down tube here, there's no down tube on the machine or in the cup. When it pressurizes, it draws through this filter that's at the inlet of the machine. So I'm just going to swap over to a full cup. And in order to do that, the way you do it, this little black lid needs to be lined up right under your prime valve, and it's just less than a quarter of a turn to the right to lock that cup in. Now, I won't do it here because my cup is full, but you can also unscrew the housing and take the flex liner right out from underneath there if you want to. So there's two ways to evacuate the cup housing from the machine. So to prime the machine, to get started and actually spray, this is where things happen. And this is called the vacuum valve. So what you do is you flip that open. If you look down inside there, we've run a lot of paint through this today, so there's already paint in there. But that's a little reservoir. And to prime the machine, you squeeze the flex liner, and I'll have you shoot right down into the reservoir. It's loud in here, so you can't hear it, but I've just squeezed the air out of the flex liner, and then I'm just going to flip the lid shut. So now there is no air inside of the cup. So to prime, if you look at this valve right here, there's a prime setting, which is up and down, and there's a paint setting, which is horizontal. So in the prime setting, what we do is point the machine in a safe direction, and we're going to engage the trigger for between 3 and 10 seconds, and that's going to get this machine ready to go. So that now the machine is primed, there's no air inside of the flex liner. I can switch over to the paint mode, and I'm ready to paint. So whatever is in front of me is ready to go. So we are running a 514 tip on this machine, which is a pretty good size tip. Like this has a fairly big fan pattern, so we'll show you on the wall here what that looks like. Okay, so on the back of the machine is where your speed control is. Your motor speed control is here. So we're currently set at 6. We can go all the way up to 10, and just for the sake of showing you the range of the machine, I'll do that. So that's with the machine at 10. I can probably turn it down as far as 2 or 3 and still get a happy pattern. It's just going to be slower because there's less motor, less speed behind it. But the tip will still produce a fan pattern for you. So that gives you the flexibility. If you're spraying spindles on a deck rail system, you turn it down because you're shooting at a small surface. If you're shooting a larger surface, then you would turn it up and take advantage of your full-size tip. So that's kind of the basic rundown of what's new. In addition to the cordless version, which is this one, there's also a version with a cord. So this would be the same exact machine, but instead of having a battery attached, you could plug it directly into an extension cord and you have power all day long. So that's everything that's happening at this point. The Graco handhelds for 2017. Thank you.